Hello and welcome to another in Beyond20 series of Cherwell tutorial videos. My name is Mark and today I will be discussing the various types of data validation and suggested best practice for their usage. Data validation is a very common function in Cherwell service management. It's relatively easy to set up and it provides a powerful way to guide end users to enter correct and pertinent information. To set up data validation on a data field, first you'll need to open a blueprint. Today I'll be working with the incident object as it has several useful built-in validated fields. The first and most common type of validation is to validate from another table within the Cherwell data structure. Usually this validation is done from a lookup table object type. The incident object uses this type of validation for classifying tickets. This validation is somewhat more complex as there are 3 levels of classification, each being validated from a different table and then constrained by the previous entry. Let's take a look at how we validate service, category, and subcategory within the incident form. Service is, of course, related to the service object. Now, once that classification has been made, the category field is constrained by the value. That is, we have limited the possible values of category to those that are part of that service. Let's take a look at that now. The incident category table includes a field to store the service name for each category, which allows the constraint to be built. The same is true for subcategory, except that now we're constraining by both the related service and the related category. Let's take a look at subcategory. We'll show you the constraint there as well. As you can see, it's now being constrained by both the service and the category that was selected for the incident. In order to build a table validated field, you're going to need to create the lookup table and populate it if it does not already exist. Now, in version 5, you can populate data in a lookup table directly from within a blueprint, simply by clicking on the Edit Table Data button in the validation form. You'll see here all of the data that is populated currently in the subcategory table. And you can actually add a new entry and fill out that form as if you were actually in the client or the blue pill. I'm going to go ahead and abandon this now. And once you're done, you can simply just close the window and it'll take you back to your validation window. The second most common type of validation is to validate from a static list, which is entered directly in the validation screen in a blueprint. This can be useful for very small validation lists, such as yes, no, or true, false. Now, if that list starts to get longer, say 3 to 5 items, or if you expect the validation data will not remain static, you should consider changing the validation to a lookup table instead. If we say wanted to use call source as a list validated field, it is not by default, but you could add a list of call sources here. Keep in mind, of course, that these can only be changed within the blueprint. So again, if you find that the list itself is too long, or if it's going to be dynamic in some fashion in normal operating procedures, you may want to change this and use table validation instead. Next, I'm going to show you validating from a range. Now this can be particularly useful if you need to constrain a field by date. Let's take, for instance, one of our date fields, which was used for incident pending, and say we want to enforce or force the user to pick a date in the future, rather than being able to say the review date would be sometime in the past. Well, we can use a date range here. So the left of our range would be today, and we have a system variable for that called current date time. We select that from our system variables. And now for the write range, I generally would select something outrageously far in the future. I tend to like to use 100 years. So we create a date time expression simply stating that the date will be today's date plus 100 years. And now you force the user to enter a date in the future. It can't be before today, and it can't be longer than 100 years in the future, but that probably would never happen. The other type of range validation is used on numeric fields. Say you want to limit a number from, say, for cost, you want to limit it to say it must be at least $100, but it can't be more than $100,000. We can do the exact same thing we did with the date field, except now we're going to enter numbers instead of dates into the range. So left of range, say, is 100, not 10,000, 100. And we'll make the right of the range 100,000. Now, as you can see, this will limit them from entering any number that is smaller than 100 or larger than 100,000. The other thing here is you can also put in custom error text if they put the wrong data in. Finally, we have other types of validation. There are two ways you can utilize that. One is to select an expression that will help you populate your data. It's a very, very uncommon usage of validation, but you can do it. The other one is to use a valid team or workgroup. This is most commonly seen in the owned by team field on most major objects. You'll see here under other validation types, valid team or workgroup, all users teams. You can also constrain that to just the current users team if you want to, say, keep the current user from assigning a ticket to a different team. Again, the same is true for workgroups. If that's something you use in Cherwell, the owned by workgroup can be constrained by valid workgroups or by any or by the current customer's workgroups. So, as you can see, validation is an extremely useful and core function of the Cherwell service management system, and it can help you get required data very effectively from your user base. Now, I hope this video has been helpful, and I'd like you to please check out our other videos by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Beyond20 LLC. Thank you.